Go beyond quiet, transcendental sound. That's even more rare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjano. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjano. Jamunatira Vanajari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Janaballabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janaballabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjano. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjano. Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjano. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Madhava Kunja Bihari. Sri Radha Madhava ki. Sri Radha Damodar ki. Sri Radha Giridhari ki. Go Premanande. Nayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Puri Braji Gajaja Shodra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanara Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Puri Braja Gajaja Shodra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Samveda Bhakti ki Jai. Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, Sisi Guru and Siddhi Gauranga. Krishna Vastaya Buddha. Mati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamani Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharini Yosheshu Satyavari Prasyati Adeshatari. Okay. So this morning reading from the Srimadbhagavatam is the 4th canto, chapter 20, verse 12. Do you have any books there? Those who need books? Yeah, at least one. Your book. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriyat Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So the question is, where have all the brahmacharis gone? I only see white. Right? All of them. No, Bhakti Jamal's not. He's okay. But what happened to Braj and Damodar and Braj? She's making it. Okay. Well, you got Balaram and Braj Mohan. Okay. So this is the verse. It's not Brahma Samhita. It's not that long. Yeah. Vinasalingasya guna pravaho dravya kriya karaka chetanatmanaha drashtasu sampatsu vipatsu suryayo navikrayante mai baddha sauhridaha Vinasya lingasya guna pravaho dravya kriya karaka chetanatmanaha drashtasu sampatsu vipatsu surayo navikrayante mai baddha sauridaha Vinasalingasya guna pravaho dravya kriya karaka chetanatmanaha drashtasu sampatsu vipatsu surayo navikrayante mai baddha sauhridaha Vinasalingasya guna pravaho dravya kriya karaka chetanatmanaha drashtasu sampatsu vipatsu surayo navikrayante mai baddha sauhridaha. Chant. Vinasalingasya guna pravaho dravya kriya karaka chetanatmana drashtasu sampatsu vipatsu surayo navikrayante mai baddha suridaha. Vinascha lingasya guna pravaho. Kriya karaka chetanatmana. Drashtasu anpatsu vipatsu surayo. Navikrayanti mai bhaddha sauhridaha. What else? Okay. Balaram? Brajmohan? Damodar? Synonyms. Vinasya, different. Lingasya, of the body. Guna, of the three modes of material nature. Pravaha, the constant change. Dravya, physical elements. Kriya, activities of the senses. Karaka, demigods. Chaitana, and the mind. Atmanaha, consisting of. Drishtasu, when experienced. Sampatsu, happiness. Vipatsu, distress. Suraya, those who are advanced in knowledge. Na, never. Vikriyante, become disturbed. Mai, unto me. Baddha sauhridaha, bound in friendship. Translation. Well, do you know what they are? Are they washing pots to help out Mahabharata? Or? Okay. 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 Jai. Bhagashri. Jai. Haribol. Translation. Lord Vishnu told King Prithu, "My dear king, the constant change of this material world is due to the interaction of the three modes of material nature." Thank you. Is there a Sabji Wala? Lord Vishnu told King Prithu, "My dear king, the constant change of this material world is due to the interaction of the three modes of material nature. The five elements, the senses, the demigods who control the senses, as well as the mind, which is agitated by the spirit soul, all these taken together comprise the body. Since the spirit soul is completely different from this combination of gross and subtle material elements, my devotee who is connected with me in intense friendship and affection, being completely in knowledge, is never agitated by material happiness and distress." A bit of Shankar philosophy and bhakti mixed together here. Please repeat. Lord Vishnu told King Prithu, "My dear king, the constant change of this material world is due to the interaction of the three modes of material nature. The five elements, the senses, the demigods who control the senses, as well as the mind, which is agitated by the spirit soul. All these taken together comprise the body. Since the spirit soul is completely different from this combination of gross and subtle material elements, my devotee who is connected with me in intense friendship and affection, being completely in knowledge, is never agitated by material happiness and distress." Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The question may be raised that if the living entity has to act as a superintendent of the activities of the bodily combination, then how can he be indifferent to the activities of the body? The answer is given here. These activities are completely different from the activities of the spirit soul of the living entity. A crude example can be given in this connection. A businessman riding in a motor car sits in the car, supervises its running, and advises the driver. He knows how much gasoline is used up, and he knows everything about the car, but still he is apart from the car and is more concerned with his business. Even while riding in the car, he thinks of his business and his office. He has no connection with the car, although he is sitting there. As the businessman is always absorbed in thoughts of his business, so the living entity can be absorbed in thoughts of rendering loving service to the Lord. Then it will be possible to remain separate from the activities of the material body. This position of neutrality can be possible only for a devotee. The word baddha sauhrida, bound in friendship, is particularly used here. Karmis, jnanis, and yogis cannot be bound in devotional service. Karmis fully engage in the activities of the body. Their aim of life is to give comfort to the body only. Jnanis try to get out of entanglement by philosophical speculation, but they have no standing in the liberated position. Because they do not take shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord, they fall down from the exalted position of Brahman realization. Yogis also have a bodily concept of life. They think that they can achieve something spiritual by exercising the body through dharana, asana, pranayama, etc. A devotee's position is always transcendental because of his intimate relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, to remain always aloof from the actions and reactions of the body and engage in one's real occupation, namely rendering devotional service to the Lord, can be possible only for devotees. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksulun Minitam Dena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shri Gaur Bhakti Barinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchikapatarupaśca kripa sindhu bevacha patitanam bhavanibhu vaishnavibhu namo namaha. So by your good wishes and blessings, I'll try to say a few things. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhupada's talking about the karmis, jnanis, yogis, and bhaktas. And everyone has all these different classes of endeavor, people participating in them, have a set of happiness and distress. Everyone is actually trying to become free from the miseries of material existence. Prabhupada gives the example, even a little insect crawling across right in front of you, you put your little finger there, goes around. Right, you go in the kitchen in the morning, you go like this, all the cockroaches, they run. Right? Right? Isn't that true? They run. You know, just like... Of course, you know what an armadillo is? Armadillos. When I lived in Mississippi, they have a very, very short attention span. You scare them, they run about 5 feet, then they forget why they're running. That's what they say. It's funny. We used to live in a trailer. It was like from here to, I guess, across the street, the tire place, you know. So every morning I had to get up and walk across this field, you know, the lawn of the temple into the and there was an antebellum home there where Radha Govinda was in New Jaipur. And every once in a while you see these armadillos out there also. And they get a little spooked. They run a little bit and they stop. So I asked Mr. What was his name? The caretaker, he lived there. So what's going on? He goes, oh, they're stupid, they're dumb as a doorknob or something like that. So they just forget. They have such a short-term memory, they forget why they run. Like that. But so they run for a little while before they forget why they're afraid. You know, they just... Anyway, so every jiva is trying to become happy, but due to one's amount of knowledge and awareness, some people are more successful than others. Even in the material world, they make the point, and it's observable that all of us are going through the same problems. The difference between so-called successful people and unsuccessful people is successful people know how to work their way through the problems, and unsuccessful people don't. At least that's one of the reasons, at least externally, we can see that. So people are all trying to understand, how can I become free from suffering? Well, there's, in this verse, it's revealing how to become completely free from all the agitation. What is the cause of the agitation or suffering in this material world? And, how to really become free. And the conclusion is only the devotee really knows where it can actually be situated in real happiness. And what's real happiness? It's spiritual happiness. It's happiness that doesn't end. That's one thing, is the so-called happiness in the material world. What's the problem with it? Antavatupalam teshan tadbhavati alpamedasam. That it has a beginning and an end. So it's not really happiness. Just like, let's say, Dr. Glenn, I give you $10,000, and I say, I want it back at the end of class. How much can you enjoy that $10,000? No, you can't even do that, because you have to sit here during class. What are you going to do with $10,000, right? But think of a dream, right? Just like people go by the big billboards with the lottery amounts. And they go, ooh, if I had $50 million, if I had, what kind of, even devotees, I think, oh, what kind of temple could I build? This and that. Oh, okay. Well, that's what they have them on the big highways, all these big lottery things. There's Power Lotto, Super Lotto, Mega Lotto, right? And people are all thinking, if I only won that money, what could I do with it, right? Well, they don't have it. So it's all a dream, And even when you do win, it's actually another type of dream. Because chanchala, the good fortune of that money, just peters away. And that some people burn through millions of dollars in just a few years when they win the lottery. It's interesting how they could do that. So everything in the material world, the so-called happiness of this material world, is temporary and not even really satisfying. In fact, they say, if you analyze it, there's three results of happiness in this material world. The first one is, you think about something that's going to make you happy, and you never get it. Just like that lottery. People drive, what's the chance of winning the lottery? It's 1 in something million, right? Maybe billion, but just when you're going to get, people think somehow or other, maybe I'll win. They never win like that. So you think, oh, if I could only have this, but you never get it. The other thing is, then there's only three kinds of happiness. So remember this one. The next one is, whatever you think is the object of your happiness, you do get it. And after you get it, you think, this really isn't what I wanted. It's not working out. I thought it was going to be like this. I thought it was going to be like that. You get an MP3 player, you get a car, you get this or that, and it's just like, it's just not what I wanted. Like that. Just like marriage, they say there's a book that came out back in the 80s, a nice book called The Marriage Map. It's a classic. And it talks about the different stages of marriage when people get together. So the first one, the name of the first stage is fantasy. Because you think, oh, this person is perfect. Oh, no flaws, no problems. You just endorphins and all the stuff that go off when you fall in love or whatever. It's just your bloodstream is just like pumping it like that. So you think, oh, and maybe they do a little something that, oh, isn't that cute, right? But the next stage after that it's called reality. Like you said, the honeymoon's over. Sometimes it's right when the ring goes on. But the point is, you think, oh, yes, I'll get it. And then all of a sudden things just don't seem to be what you thought they were going to be, right? And everything in the material world falls in that first category. You don't get it. Then this one, you do get it, but it's not really making you happy. Then the last one is you get it. It is what you wanted. And you're so happy. But guess what happens? Time passes, and it's taken away from you. So, there used to be a game show on TV when I was at college called Let's Make a Deal. And they say, do you want what's behind door number 1? Door number 2? They probably still have them. Door number 3. So, here it is. It's the happiness show in the material world. What do you want? Door number 1, which is you're never going to get it. Door number 2, you get it and it just isn't what you want. Or door number 3, you get it and it's taken away. It's what you wanted and it's taken away from you. You have $10,000. Which door do you want? You can use your $10,000 I gave you. Which door do you want? None of them. None of them. Now, can you tell me, am I wrong? This information I've given you, so I didn't make it up. Is it wrong? Is there door number 4 in this material world? Is there really something else as far as happiness in the material world besides these 3 different options were just explained? Can anyone think of one? Mr. Walla over there in the corner? You're a happy chap. You're always very happy. Maybe you figured something out, right? So, yes, you got one. Well, that's not the material world. You're ruining the game show here. Come on. You must be from that one next door, the Hare Krishna show. Huh? Yes. So that's the point. So the devotee has to contemplate, just like it says here. It's interesting. Surya, which means pious or demigods, also is being said those who are advanced in knowledge. So one's advanced in knowledge, they think about these things. Like, wait a second, that's true. I'm endeavoring, and that's all I get in the material. That's all I'm going to get. So is that enough? Well, some people it is. And what is that called? Moha. In fact, you watch those game shows when I was a kid. The audience was quite interesting characters. They purposely get all these men and women to scream and yell a lot and jump up and down, and right? They're so excited they got a year's supply of dog food or a toaster or I don't know what they get, car or vacation to whatever, and they just go nuts. So they're so excited, moha, but they don't realize even you get that. Come the taxes and your dog dies and you got a garage full of dog food, and sometimes they give like bummer prizes like that, right? They open it up and they go like that, and the audience goes, it's a year's supply of dog food, and they don't have a dog. Something like that. Anyways, so what's being said here is those who are intelligent, they're looking for something else. As a verse in Bhagavad Gita we quoted earlier, antavatupalam tesham tadbhavinamedasa. The intelligent person doesn't, not interested in things which have a beginning and end. They want something which is eternal, because we're eternal. And also not just eternal, but the level of happiness of soul is actually constitutionally made to enjoy is much higher than anything in this material world. That's the reason we're also dissatisfied. We're actually meant to be experiencing Satchidananda in a loving relationship with Krishna, so everything else is quite a downgrade, like that. A booby prize is just a real downgrade. So no, we're not happy. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. And that's why in the material world people do go crazy sometimes, because they just can't get enough happiness just trying to enjoy the material world, and it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So what are the options? That's karma. That's the karmi. Then you have the people who say, yeah, that's right. 1, 2, and 3, there's no happiness. Let me go beyond this material world. That's your yogis and your jnanis. They understand these things. But their endeavors are also very much limited because they don't take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The yogis are on the bodily concept of life. They're thinking, I'm practicing this yoga and I'm getting all these mystic powers. That will make me happy, but that doesn't make them happy. And the jnanis are speculating like anything, trying to, on their own, understand some spiritual nature beyond this material world. But because, as Prabhupada points out in the purport, he's referring to that verse, Arukachena parampadam tata patanti. Then you don't take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, you fall down. It's because it's vimukti manina. What does that mean? Vimukti manina. You think you're liberated, right? Just like if you think you're someone you're not, sooner or later someone's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, you're not that person. It's just you're living in a dream like that. So that's what happens. And they fall down again into this material world. There's no permanent position, only the devotees. And that's the message of the Bhagavatam. So here, Lord Vishnu is telling King Prithu that who is it who gets to transcend the agitation and suffering in this material world. It says, my devotee who is connected with me in intense friendship and affection, being completely knowledge, is never agitated by material happiness and distress. So, and they come together. This is word, interesting, it's nice, isn't it? This, what is it in Sanskrit? Let me bring it up here. This, sampatsu vipatsu, right? You use that. Happiness and distress. Dukkha, sukha dukkha, right? Happiness, all this. Sampatsu vipatsu, like that. So we're all experiencing, but it's the same coin, it's different sides. So if you want one, you're going to get the other. You can't have one without the other. And there's another interesting observable reality in this material world. The more you're attached to the happiness of the material world, the more you are going to feel the suffering. Isn't that interesting? That's a fact. The more we're absorbed in trying to enjoy the material world, the more acute we'll feel the pain of this material world. An example is attachment. The more you're attached to something, you ever give a very benign example, like a child having a candy or something like that. You know, they really, really like it, and then you take it away from them. What do? They cry, they scream, they have a tantrum. But, you know, they have a tantrum because they're so attached to it. Right? So in the material world, the more we are attached to things, when they're taken away, when the suffering is there, or just like our body, the more we want to enjoy our body, then the suffering will come automatically. In fact, the body, if you think about it, is really geared towards suffering. Just like how much happiness, Damodar, can you get from your big right toe? Yes. I mean, do you think about how much happiness you can get from your big right toe? No. But what happens when you stub your big right toe? A lot of pain and suffering, right? So the material body, if you examine it, it's not inherently a blissful thing, but it's inherently, at any moment, a trigger can be pulled, and your nervous system goes off, and there's a lot of suffering, right? In fact, who is a Prabhupada said is a temple of disease, a temple of suffering, a temple of disease and suffering. Now, that's not welcome news to the materialist, like that, and we have all our hospitals and doctors and so on, and but why do we have so many hospitals and doctors? Because that's the problem, right? It's the problem. And no matter how many hospitals you build and how many doctors you have and insurance policies you have, the reality is there. It's because you're dealing with a body that's falling apart and has so many problems. I mean, we didn't make that up. We didn't make it up. What are doctors studying? They're studying how this body is a place of suffering and how to alleviate that. You know, you can call it a cure if you like, but it all comes back. So many times you hear people with cancer. Oh, I licked cancer. Oh, was it John Wayne? That was the big one. John Wayne licked the big C, right? Remember John Wayne, the big hero? Like that. He had cancer, and he licked the big C. And then a few years later, what happened? He got shot in the back. Right? The big C told him, there ain't room in this town for the two of us, John. It's unfortunate, it's sad, but that's what happens. You cannot perpetually keep going on in this material world. The body is designed to create suffering for the jiva. Why? Because it's not our home. It's actually Krishna's kindness. You don't belong here. You don't belong here. You don't belong here. You know, we don't listen. What it says, if you don't listen to good instruction, what happens? For those who don't take good instruction, then who's their teacher? Bitter experience, right? You ever hear that one before? If you don't, the school of hard knocks, bitter experience. Now, if you don't listen, then there's just like a Shastra and Shastra. You know that one? What's Shastra? Voila. Scripture. And what's Shastra? Stick, weapon, right? So, there's two ways to learn. One is by good instruction, and one is by, what is it called? Argumentum baculum. That's the Latin for you get hit by a stick. In other words, you get punished, you get hit, make some sense out of it. Come on, listen. Like that. So that's the material world. We don't listen, and that's the teacher's kindness. That's Krishna's kindness, because we don't belong here. We just do not belong here. It's not for us to be here. So Krishna is very, very kind, trying to take us home. And here, this is Shastra. And actually, modern technology, my tablet here is rebooting or upgrading or something, so I can't see the verse anymore. It's okay. No, it's okay. I mean, getting near the end anyway. So, the Gyanis, the Yogis, what is that verse? In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, about happiness. Bhukti, mukti. Yeah. Sakalaya santa. Peace. It's not, it never, the bhukti, bhukti, mukti, siddhi kami, sakali asanta. Asanta means never peaceful. These persons are never peaceful because they always have something to fulfill. If you always have something to fulfill, how can you be peaceful? You ever know people are like really agitated? This, that, right? I mean, sometimes it's good. One's always agitated for Krishna. That's a good thing. But people are always worried about things and what's going to get done. I need this. I need that. And just calm down. Just calm down. But they can't. They just can't. What is that? That's Rajagun, mode of passion. That just means there's so much mode of passion in their life and so on. They just can't calm down. They just can't. It's very difficult to calm down. They're not peaceful. That doesn't mean someone who's active can't be peaceful. Arjun was Mahashanti. He's completely peaceful. He's on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, fighting. Can you imagine that? If we told you guys to go out there and have a fight, would you be peaceful? No. I mean, even a nice fight, not like you'd mad at each other. We used to have wrestling matches in the backyard there when it was grass. I remember I had a wrestling match with Shivananda Prabhu, the old Shivananda Prabhu. And if you want to know who won, he beat me. He beat me. I almost had him, but he... So anyways, you can wrestle, you can fight, but you're not peaceful. You're always trying to think of how to, right? So, Sakaliya Santa. Sakali, always agitated. But Krishna Bhakta Nishkam. Nishkam means he has no desire in this material world. His only desire is to please Krishna. Therefore, Santa. He's always peaceful. He's always peaceful. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have a dynamic life. Preaching and doing so many things. Always peace. Shanti doesn't mean you sit there like a little flower or something, a little blade of grass or flower, something like that. And that's Shanti. Shanti means that, because what happens? The blade of grass is there, then all of a sudden someone steps on it. Right? In the material world, whatever we call Shanti, sooner or later it becomes Ashanti. So the devotee is Shanti because he's always dynamic. It says here, intense friendship. And what's the other one? Intense friendship and affection. That's why he's so peaceful. Because he has that relationship with Krishna, who's the absolute truth. The dearmost friend, but he's also the absolute truth. How could you not be peaceful while having Krishna as your friend? Like that. You think about it. Krishna is your dearmost friend. How could you not be peaceful? What's there to worry when you have someone as Krishna as your dearmost friend? Right? Like Prabhupada gives the example, like India especially, if you have a government job, all your problems are solved, right? And they're quite generous. Someone was, Lokajit or someone was just telling me this. When even India now, you get these vacations and you get your pension, and I mean, you're set for life. If you can get, let alone bribes, you can take bribes. But I mean, even the government itself, they really take care of the people, apparently, at least higher-ups. I'm sure peons they don't, but higher-ups they do. It's very cushy. It's like the government, big government, taking care of me, like that. So who's bigger than Krishna? And he's your dearmost friend. So those who are have, to the extent we realize that, then devotee is very, very peaceful. What's the problem? Because every single thing is going on by Krishna's arrangement. So that means whatever happens in our life, we have full realization, Krishna's doing this to me. So where's the problem? He's my best friend, he's doing this to me. So in many different ways you can contemplate this. So that's our... let's come back. There is a God. Okay. So we're going to end here because of the time. Is that okay? There's some nice discussion in this, so... Anyone like to say anything? Question? Microphone? No, because it goes on. It's good because we got more people listening than are here. Yeah, you have about 1,000 people listening to you right now.
Am I live? Yeah. Okay, in the one phrase in the scripture mentions the demigods who control the senses. How can, if possible, can that be reconciled with today's quote, understanding of neuroactivity, reward system, and dopamine, as you referred to earlier, in neurotransmitters and such? They seem very different.
Okay, a question about the reference to the demigods who control the senses. What that's saying is that, everything in this material world is described as a demigod behind it. It's not, what that's saying is that we're not, we desire to do different things, but that's all the soul can do. Through the arrangement of the material nature, which is not just the physical elements, but the devatas, the ability to see and hear, and that's given to us by the demigods, but they're not interfering with our free will. But they're there because the soul is a spiritual being. Without the super soul helping us, how would we do anything in this material world? We don't even know. Are you digesting your food right now? Are you thinking about it? How much of this and how much of that? And all these different things. So there's some arrangement to help the jiva. He's desiring. So that's part of the setup for the body that we have, so we can utilize it for different things. But they're not interfering. It's not like you want to go out the door and Indra wants you to go that way or something like that. We have our free will, and Krishna's there in the heart. And ultimately Krishna's directing the demigods and the jiva accordingly to one's karma and their desires. But it's part of the setup. That's what it's referring to. It's not that they're pulling the strings all the time or something like that, however they want to do it. I hope that answered the question. Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna. I just wanted to clarify what I said before. I mean, like for me at least, there's no material happiness in this world, but what I meant to say is that at least I find happiness trying to please Krishna and develop prema. So even with all my suffering, I find happiness in this world. That's what I meant to say. So, and then I wanted to say, you mentioned the armadillo,
yeah.
Just so he cannot retain anything for 5 minutes or 5 seconds.
What it was, they're very forgetful.
Okay, so they cannot retain what is meaningful. So that got me to think that we make so many mistakes, right, and keep repeating those mistakes over and over again. As soon as we find happiness, what we think is happiness, we forget. So Krishna is so merciful that if we keep doing that, the same thing over and over again, he teaches with suffering not to do it again until we learn the lesson. So that's what came up. Haribo.
Jai. Anyone else? Prabhu.
Thank you, Dharmasetu. Wonderful, practical, grounded, very nice class. A couple points come to mind. It's not that the suffering doesn't take place to the body or the mind of a devotee, but here it's talking about consciousness, and one can be transcendental, or at least even in the beginning stages one can learn to tolerate because one has a different perspective of what's taking place. As you mentioned in class, it's all Krishna's mercy. And the second thing is that even in devotional service, sometimes you see devotees, they forget the happiness they experience in Krishna consciousness, and then they turn to look for happiness outside of Krishna consciousness. If you want to comment at all on how that phenomena takes place when, according to this purport, that shouldn't be happening.
Well, it's a matter of our realization. Once Prabhupada was asked about devotees falling down, advanced devotees, and Prabhupada said advanced devotees don't fall down. So if someone fell down, they weren't really that advanced. So one who's very, very, very Krishna conscious, they don't fall down. Because of jnana vairag yuktaya. That's how do you know someone's spiritual? Jnana vairag yuktaya. It's their level of jnana, understanding of reality, and vairag, their renunciation of this material world. Because of their understanding, they just have let go to that extent. So that's two ways to measure a person's advancement in spiritual life. They're very knowledgeable about this world and that world, the matter, spirit, the controller of both. And because of that, what follows naturally is vairagya. It's not that one is very, very spiritually advanced and they're like having a great time in this material world. They miss something. That's not gyan. Just like, the bridge is out and you're still driving as fast as you can. You didn't read the sign. So, it's one thing. So, that's just part of the you can say the struggle or the endeavor in Krishna consciousness, that we push forward and then there's challenges and we keep pushing forward and there's, but that gradually comes to the point because it is the nature of the soul. It's not something artificial. So we should be, that's exciting news. In other words, when am I going to have to stop struggling? That's a question devotees ask. When will I, Kabi Have Bolo Se Dinamhar. When will that day be mine? The devotees are thinking like that, are singing and praying. Will it ever end? Will the mind's, nagging me and pushing me and my senses and this and that? Will I ever be Krishna conscious? Will I ever? So I was on the altar this morning, I heard you talking to, was it Braj Mohan, about japa? About... I'm not taking questions, politicians. I'm not taking questions. Allegedly. About, our japa today. How good is it? Will I ever chant pure japa? Will that day ever come when I can actually chant a whole round? Or maybe even a whole mantra when I'm thinking of Krishna? Yeah, it will come. You know why? Because we're naturally Krishna conscious. Isn't that wonderful? We're not doing something artificial. So that's very exciting. Should be very, very exciting. We're not doing something artificial. And in due course of time, as we become purified, it is, I think they say, easy as pie. I don't know where that expression comes from, but it sounds nice. It's easy as pie because it's who we are. That's all we're doing. Just like, if you're lying and if you've had, an accident or something, and you can't walk or this or that, physical therapy, to be able to get up and walk around and move your arms and legs and so on, that's who you are. No, it's painful. You had an accident, you have to go through all the PT, physical therapy, and this, that, and the other thing. But the exciting good news is that who you are is a person who can get up and walk around and move your arms and legs because that's your natural condition. So our natural condition is to be completely Krishna conscious, to chant purely and be in full friendship, intense friendship with Krishna and love and devotional service. That's exciting news. We're not trying to do something artificial, which is completely different than our nature.
That's a really good example. And that person needs a physical therapist. This is something I've been meditating on. A couple of days we'll be speaking to Prabhupada in this Sangha. But you need the physical therapist, and you also need the peer pressure or the family support, friendships, the support of friends, etc. Because on our own, we don't push ourselves.
No.
You get to a point, and we repeat it every day. It's so funny. We get in a condition, we get into a route. What's that word?
Yeah.
Route. And
rut.
Rut, yeah.
Route is like,
yeah.
You don't get out.
You're stuck there. And you don't even realize it because you're going through the motions, and your mind has tricked you into being satisfied with the level that you've achieved. But if Krishna and Guru are kind, then somebody else is going to tap us on the shoulder and say, man, you can do better than this. Come on, Rajendranandana. There's a lot more potential within you. Why don't you try a little harder? So those are thoughts that I've been having in relationship to, it's all about the spiritual master's instructions. And we delude ourselves, we're following. We're following his instructions, but to what degree we could surrender and be empowered and so much more. So.
Yeah, Prabhupada always points out that song by Narottam Das Thakur. At the very end, he says, Dayakara Sri Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa Ramachandra Sangamage Narottam. So two things. You have the guru, his Shiksha guru, and dear one, it was Srinivasacharya. But then Ramachandra Sangapuri, the association of wonderful devotees. That was Ramachandrapuri. It was like his second half. So he's praying for their kindness and mercy. The guru and the association of advanced devotees, because in that association, one is enlivened and instructed and pulled up like that and pushed in Krishna consciousness. So without that, that's right, we don't really have much. We don't have much. So people want to be their own guru. You know, you read these books sometimes, you hear stories about, even in the material world, people who have attained a phenomenal success. They always say the same thing. Someone or some people pushed them past their limits that they thought they had. They always say that. You cannot achieve something amazing in life unless someone pushes you. Someone, out of kindness, pushes you like that. So we should run around all day long. Prabhu, push me. Can you help me out, Prabhu? Come on. How am I doing, Prabhu? Can I do better? Something more can I do? Prabhu, push me. Like that. Instead of like, don't push me. Like that. No, find devotees who you are asking, push me. Can you do that, please? That's a sign of someone who's very eager and excited to be Krishna conscious. Do you have the breakfast report? Do you have the breakfast report? You just came from the kitchen.
Keep going.
Okay.
So when we push devotees out of kindness to help them, right? But that irritates them, that makes them upset, they don't take it that way. So sometimes that creates separation or hard feelings because the person, I guess, is not ready to receive them.
Right.
So I recently experienced something like that. So my question is, if a devotee is upset with you or hurt, or and you say Hare Krishna to them, and they don't respond back, is that an offense for the person to say Hare Krishna, keep saying Hare Krishna to them, or should we stop until they're ready to say back?
Well, I think that what you just said, stop until they're ready. Because what I was just saying was, for the devotee who's trying to advance, they're looking for help. Okay? Now, if someone's not looking for help and you're going to help them, well, you got to be a little careful, right? Sleep, right. So there's two things being discussed here. Those, we all need help, but if someone who's asking for help, and then someone who wants to help everyone or whatever, if they're not asking for help, then you have to be intelligent how we deal with them, because you can you can push someone too hard. You can they don't appreciate it, and it can work against them. You give them too much. So one has to be expert in how much you encourage and push, and one has to be expert according. But the point I was making, the most important thing is, on our end, we should push through our own false ego and be very excited about having that kind of association. It says, find the associates of advanced devotees, more advanced than you. Remember Gunagari Maharaj, that's one reason he moved to Dallas many, many years ago. He wanted to be with Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He told me, because Tamal Krishna Maharaj is heavy. And he knew in that association he would be pushed. And he welcomed that, So, sooner or later it's like, yes, I need to be, someone, and just, if you're praying like that, Krishna will send you the right devotees. Krishna will send you to the right devotees. But if we're on the giving end, we have to be very careful about aligning how much we're going to give that person to what they want or need to hear at that time. So, I think that's okay. Yeah. I mean, you ever say the wrong thing to someone, Damodar? No, have you? Yeah, we all have. So we have to be careful. We apologize. Sometimes we say something we shouldn't say or whatever, and that's life. But we have to be careful. Especially, you're in a position of authority. You're the temple commander, so it's very difficult sometimes. You have to very gingerly handle things and what to say and try to encourage devotees and this and that and so on. And I imagine you wish everyone would just fall at your feet and say, Prabhu, instruct me, help me, help me, help me. It doesn't happen, but it's, but sometimes we say the wrong thing. We can always apologize and, like that. I'm just trying to help you in your Krishna consciousness, and I'll be more careful in the future, whatever. So, when that happens, speaking from experience too, I used to have a horrible reputation here back in the day. And devotees used to run when they saw me coming. All. Temple president, temple vice president, bhakti director, head of the kitchen, head pujaria, they ran out of every single door in this temple when they saw me coming. I always try to engage everyone in devotional service. Gandharvika was like that. She loved to engage everyone in devotional service. And even Sampada, someone was saying that at the memorial. She'd come around the corner. It's like somebody's like, because they knew as soon as she came around the corner, she had some service for you. But that's what it means. If you're in a position of authority, you know what authority means? One of the definitions of authority? That person who expands your life. That's a wonderful understanding. It expands, increases it. So, authority is not supposed to say, hey, that's what they do. And think of any advanced devotee that that's what they're doing. They're just increasing everyone's devotional service. More preaching, more programs, right? You think about it. In the history of devotees you've known or hear about, Prabhupada started, look what he did, just out of nothing it seems, or was, all this increasing of a whole worldwide movement. Was Prabhupada pushing? I'm practically whipping, he said. Yeah. And what it does, that's what we need to do. And devotees who went along with that, they felt the most intense ecstasy, most intense pleasure, because they're fully engaged in devotional service. So these are different thoughts. You have some thoughts?
I just wanted to mention that so naturally everyone is drawn to their sources of inspiration, and there's select individuals who we naturally gravitate towards, who have the ability, and we allow to kind of nudge us in our sweet points where we're willing to listen to them. And the main thing, it seems as if somebody's in a position of authority, a leader, the main thing that they have to cultivate is this trust. Because if you are externally trying to help somebody and they're not receptive, there's a reason for that. Therefore, we have to be sensitive, and we have to cultivate a relationship in such a way where people can actually want to take shelter of that person. If every time they come and there's always something harsh, there's always something negative, and then after a while people may lose, of course we should be tolerant and be understanding, this person is having the best intention and is a well-wisher, but if they don't feel that, then they won't be as receptive.
This is if you want to give instruction to people, you have to fit into one of two, if not both categories. You know what those are? You have to be their authority, like authorities in temple, or you have to be a very, very close friend. And if you're not, keep your mouth shut, because it won't be received. That's true. So if you're not a natural authority in someone's life, and we all have, living in a temple, we have natural authorities. There's a chain of command, in other words, things don't get done. Or you're a very, very close friend, and they feel it, and well-wisher. But if you don't fit in that category, I mean, you can tell someone else who's in that position to help that person in a particular way, but it won't be received well at all. That's my understanding.
I appreciate you sharing with us, Damodar Kumar, and I know I am guilty at different times in discouraging you and others because that's my nature. But in sharing with you the experience of the first generation devotees, those of us who moved into the ashram, the mood and the standard was you did whatever you were told. It wasn't like today, and I think part of it is a generational thing with the, there's the younger people, those who mold mass consciousness into society, they've made them feel pampered or entitled or, spare the rod, spoil the child, all that kind of mentality of not setting proper boundaries sometimes in the upraising or giving them so much sense gratification from the very beginning in life. It's much more difficult, it appears, to push hard on the younger generation. But I apologize on my part and recognize sometimes, but if you'll kindly forgive and tolerate when I do like that, because we're coming from a point where Dravid is the same way. He's the grandfatherly, he snaps fingers and how come they're, oh man, it's Krishna's mercy he wasn't here this morning with Prabhupada not having a garland. I mean, we laugh, but I just felt so stupid and so bad. What is this? We don't have no garland for Prabhupada. I don't even know where flowers are. It's like, so what do? If you can't do anything, you just pray forgiveness. But if you have some ability or some, position of responsibility, whatever it takes, the buck's supposed to stop somewhere. And we're supposed to have systems, Who was supposed to bring the garland out with the flowers? Isn't that somebody's service along with the Guru Puja tray? They should be trained that, oh, this isn't here? Well, then let me set the alarm. So when it comes time to Guru Puja, what if Vishaka had been here? I would have been so embarrassed. Or we made the announcement Sunday evening. Are there any first initiated disciples? We've come to that standard with our worship of the deities. It's below a standard, probably. It's so embarrassing. But this is where we're at. And we try to do our best. And if we can't make it happen on our own, then we have to pray, just please empower and please forgive and please accept whatever little we can do. So I should sum up. I'm sorry to the degree I discourage you and others. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.